Hey guys, T-Boy here. Today I got a look at the hood for you, the new Tier 6 premium British battleship. Actually a double feature this time. Here's my friend Andy Cunningham on the screen. Haven't tweaked that build for a while, but it's been pretty reliable for me. Um, this first game I think is the higher damage of the two. I'm going to kind of go over the ship characteristics to start it off, and then we'll kind of slide into covering the game. And then the next game's Kraken, kind of a more of a close range brawling type, if I recall. Right off the bat, looking at the stats, highest HP at the tiers, 67,700. So pretty impressive right there. Armor, this is technically a battle cruiser, so it's not the heaviest armored. It's kind of bizarre. You can see there's low decks on the rear and front of the ship, and then the middle's kind of raised up. So I'd actually be interested to see what the armor scheme is like on this one, and if we ever get the armor view. Hopefully that's coming sooner or later. Gun characteristics is kind of in between the hood and the King George. They all have similar range, just over 17 kilometers on my build. The reload on the hood is 27 seconds compared to 25 in the KGV and 30 on the Nelson. Same thing, middle of the pack for those three in terms of damage. HE 5,300. That's actually the lowest for those, but the AP, it's kind of right in the middle of the pack. I got 12,939 per Citadel shot on this. Now you're not going to get a lot of Citadel shots on battleships, but cruisers, feel free to shoot those broadsides. This has the short fused British AP battleship rounds. Probably 90% of the battleships, 80%, whatever it is, all these British battleships have these short fuses. So shooting broadside waterline citadels on battleships is not reliably going to land those shots. Basically how it works is the shell detonates quicker upon impact, and due to the fact that there's multiple layers on those battleships on the waterline kind of guarding the citadel, the round will explode before it actually hits that inner chamber. So you're going to get a bunch of shatters or low damage rounds. So you're going to see me in these games shooting battleships. I put the aim indicator, roughly halfway up the ship usually, and that's going to result in shooting the top half of the hull, which is lightly armored in comparison, and drifting up into the superstructure as well. So these guns, if you're aiming them correctly, they're reliable, but they're not, you're not going to get a lot of brutal Yamato type, 90k sellers or anything like that. But 20k, 15k into the broadsides of these battleships, not uncommon whatsoever. So just be sure you're not aiming for the strongest armored parts of these ships, and you should be doing fine. Maneuverability wise, kind of a mixed bag. Speed's really good, 28.9 on my builds, and that's compared to like 21.6 on the Nelson, 25.2 on the King George. So pretty good there, but the turning radius is the largest at the tier, 910. So turns, you're going to be wide and ponderous turns. Likewise, starting and stopping really slow in this thing. I mean, that's characteristic of most battleships. I got the prop mod in it to help mitigate that to the extent possible, but it's not really much of a speed demon. If you get caught near a destroyer who's trying to ambush you close range around an island or something, you're just done. So try and stay away from cover and ambush type situations if you can. Rudder Shift, decent, 14.8 on my build. It's a little on the higher end, but it's not the worst. But if you did run the steering gears, you could drop that down a bit. And then the detectability, 14, tied with a couple other ships, the Scharnhorst and the Nelson. So that's actually pretty good if you've got some sort of a concealment build running Kondo or something. You could potentially make this a pretty stealthy ship in comparison. So, the armor, even though it's kind of a battle cruiser, I don't feel like I'm getting my butt kicked in this thing. I played, this is kind of an early impressions video, played about 10 games or so. Been doing pretty well, except for, getting stuck too close to torps or teammates who are, direct descendants of Corporal Upham and don't want to support you. But I should mention, this is coming out next week at the normal Tier 6 premium price, I assume. Right now it's currently part of the bundle. I think it's part of the anime bundle. So if that looks pretty expensive to you, and from what I hear it is not cheap, but you're interested in the ship, you can wait until next week, I believe. If I'm incorrect about that, someone let me know in the comments. But until I start getting to see them out there and start shooting at them, it's hard for me to know exactly how durable it is in certain situations. I haven't been getting stuck getting shot in the sides a lot, so I don't know how easy it is to, completely destroy these things. But in my, 10, 12 game experience, whatever it is, I haven't been being deleted by, Battleship incoming fire yet. So getting into this game here, we're at 55k. We kind of had to. I want to play the center in a Battleship in this position or on this map, if possible. We kind of got driven back though. Our team's kind of sitting behind the objectives. They've managed to capture C on their team, but they're kind of doing the same thing. Both teams are really passive, but I got driven back early on, so we kind of had to get back into position here, which is all right. And then we're just going to start looking for broadsides. It doesn't really matter, battleship, cruiser, destroyers, your guns are effective there as well. They seem pretty accurate to me. I've been impressed with the accuracy, but you got to keep in mind I do have a high-level Cunningham informing this build. So, it's about as accurate as you're really going to see this ship. Legato, his guns are positioned to the opposite direction of me, so I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity and turn away from him. I don't want to be pushing into these ships. The closer I get to him, he's going to have more support closer to him. I'm kind of front line on the eastern side of the map, you can see there, so I'm going to turn around. That has multiple benefits. Number one, I'm not pushing into them. Number two, I'm harder to hit kiting away from them, moving away from them, and it puts me a little bit more in control. This Nagato is content to sit there broadside. Again, we're hitting those broadsides with solid damage hits, but you're not going to see Citadel ribbons popping up on this ship very often. I don't actually recall getting any thus far, but that's not a problem. 20k damage is 20k damage. You don't have to fret about whether it was a Citadel or not. If the ship's going to shoot broadside like that, just try and hit them, mid-ship, upper hull, in that range. And you can see these shells, we're getting decent damage there. That one looked like it was about 9k, give or take. And that's fine, I'm properly angled to him. I'm moving away from him, so you're going to see him kind of missing a lot of shots short, and that's what's typically going to happen when you're moving away from players. It doesn't matter what class you're in. Moving away from players always puts you at the advantage if they're chasing you, because a lot of players are going to have a hard time hitting those steeply angled ships that are at a steep diagonal. It's just a much harder shot to hit than a broadside thing where you just line up the line right at the base of the ship, pull the trigger. This one you got to really know how to aim pretty well to hit those shots reliably. So that puts me in control there. This Otago's definitely a concern for me. The Nagato is a powerful ship. It's not the most accurate ship, but if it hits you right, it'll hit you hard. But this Otago, just based on my own experience, that's one of the more dangerous ships in the game. So I want to try and continue to whittle this Nagato down. And I'm going to move back in a position, I believe, where I'm angled towards him. But the goal here is to kind of get close enough to that Otago to deal with him, but not so close that I'm going to get into trouble with the torps here. I guess I thought I was going to kill that Nagato but sooner than I actually did. So we didn't angle that shot, but I don't know if that was just a miss or the shells weren't that effective at that range. But regardless, we kind of got away with a bit of a mistake there. That probably just boiled down to the Nagato having a little bit of a wonky dispersion. And again, we're not going for the Mike Tyson, the Joe Frazier knockout punches. This is more of a Muhammad Ali type cruiser, battle cruiser type of play where we're going to do sustained damage over the course of the round, but we're not really going for the one-punch knockouts. And that's fine as long as you go into that. It makes it easier if you have a little bit of support to take the pressure off of you. But even just playing correctly here, despite missing shots periodically, we're still in control vis-a-vis this Nagato. Now, the problem with not being able to take him out quickly as would be in some other battleships is this Otago has an opportunity to do naughty things and he's close enough to me now where it's becoming a problem. But I can't turn to deal with him because, again, I'm trying to protect. That's another dicey shot there. That could have potentially been quite dangerous. But the Nagato, you always got to angle towards the most dangerous threat. Now, luckily here, once we deal with him, we cut back, and his predicted torps, were launched under the assumption that we'd continue on the same path that we were going. But we cut back, we dodged the torps, and now we're going to start firing at the Otago. Boom. And that's that AP against the cruisers. British short fuse AP. It's a problem for cruisers. You just don't want to be flashing the broadside. Just angle, especially in the Otago. You can steeply angle that ship. You'll still take some damage, but it's not going to be catastrophic. I'm not going to say he's going to win that fight 1v1 very often, having missed that torp salvo. But you're probably thinking to yourself, well, he turned around and he could have launched other torps. That slipped my mind here. So hopefully you're thinking that, and that's good to know that is going to cost me a little bit of health here. Should have recognized that. Usually when those Japanese cruisers flip around like that, or any cruisers that have launches on both sides, you just got to expect that that's kind of the play they're thinking about. Especially in Otago that has really nice torp firing angles. He doesn't have to have his ass end swung all the way around to hit those torps. Just has to get the opposite side of the ship flipped over. So good job there getting that kind of last chance salvo off. But luckily we got just the one hit and were able to survive it. Still got this old boy back here, John Bart, trying to sink us from the rear. He's what I'm considering the most dangerous threat right now. He's the one whose attention is focused on me. This John Bart right here, if he turned his guns on me, he could punch me severely and take me out immediately. But he's dealing with other things. So we're going to just keep trying to pummel him, try and sink him. I'm shooting a little waterline. John Bart isn't the heaviest armored ship, but that's probably a mistake. Just aim up. It doesn't really matter. I've shot French battleships, the Lyon or whatever, close range, didn't land any citadels. So I probably could have sunk this guy a little bit quicker. Obviously the team's melting though, and the Jean Bart behind me, even though we're kind of dodging, weaving these shots as best as we can, eventually these guys are going to get the best of me here. Not a lot I can really do in that situation, but that's my highest damage game in this one so far. It's definitely capable of putting out the damage. But again, it's more of a sustained. It's kind of like the mentality of a cruiser, where in order to get those really nice, juicy damage games, you kind of got to stay alive throughout the course of the match and do the damage over time. It's not going to be like your battleships where you can have massive salvos right off the bat and then sink and still have a really high game in terms of damage. So next up, we got a match on Trap Domination. Shaved off about a minute or so. Just this map is so small, but I don't play it a lot because it's not on tier 7. But it's a small map. You can see the firing the white circle on the map there. We can cover basically the majority of the map if we get centrally located. So I was expecting maybe if those ships push forward a little bit, we'd be able to catch them kind of in an ambush situation. But nothing was really spotted over here, so kind of a little bit slower deployment than I'd kind of want in this situation. New Orleans pops up right here, though, and, this is kind of the accuracy of the ship or the effectiveness against cruisers at that range. Pretty decent. Didn't hit the Citadel there, but you got 4.5k damage there. We're just going to keep shooting at him until something else comes along. Oh, you got to keep an eye on this graph speed here. Let's just see what happens. Let's just put it that way. So I'm trying to pull forward here. We're trying to get the guns in position. Because the back ones were still reloading, I was comfortable firing the front salvo there. And then he just gets completely econned. I didn't actually see the shot. I don't know about you guys, but that one gave me a bit of a chuckle when I was playing. But took away the damage opportunity there. That's fine, though. We're playing for win, not for damage. So I'm looking on the map now. I'm evaluating. A, there's no destroyer threat. B, we're seeing where all the ships are. I think I can probably get on B as long as I play carefully here. But, battleships, your role is not to cap. And you don't want to die. You don't ever want to die capping. It doesn't matter what class of ship you are. It's not one of those situations where you plant your flag and you say, I'm going down with this ship. Bring it on type of thing. if you're getting uncomfortably pressured when you're trying to cap, just get off of the thing. You'd rather stay alive and continue to influence the game throughout the course of the match rather than maybe capture it if the enemy makes a mistake. But if you're in a position where they have an advantage on you, just get off of that. So that's the mentality I have going into this. And initially, I'm kind of evaluating which targets we want to take a look at. Ganai's now pops around over here, though. Looks like he's shooting HE at me to start, which is fine. We're going to assume that he loaded AP, which would be the correct play for him, in my opinion. So I'm still going to be tightly angled on him. If I can hold on to this cap for a while, that's fine. But now I'm getting focused by something over here. Not that York. It was behind the island, but whatever that battleship I was back there, I think, was the one targeting me. And this guy's still shooting HE, so now my fear level him is dropping. I can scoot forward here. You gotta mind these little tiny islands that stick out here. You could probably get stuck on them fairly easily. But if he shoots 2 salvos of HE at me in a row, then me flashing the broadside at him is not as likely of a big issue. They can always wise up and switch the shells and get it right, the 3rd or 4th time. It's still a risk, but you gotta, as you gain experience, you'll be able to evaluate your opponents, what they're doing, and say, okay, this guy looks like he might be a little bit green, or holy god, this dude's doing some stuff I've never seen before. Look out, that just comes with the experience, though. And again, you don't want to necessarily take anything for granted, but heaven forbid, like a really experienced player could maybe bait you into being like, well, this guy's a noob, just shoot HE at you for a couple salvos, flash the broadside, and then take you out with a dev strike or something like that. You never know. But had this guy been shooting AP the entire time, we probably would have been stuck on B. We would not be likely to be able to capture just because of all the incoming fire, but just the inability to move out of that. That's kind of the problem that you can get in, especially in battleships, but all ships. If you push forward, then there's situations where the enemy will pin you down. If you try and turn away, they'll just shoot you in the sides and kill you, so you get kind of stuck in your position. Nolan's poking around here. He doesn't think this ship's worth a damn. He gone! And that's the effectiveness of the British short fuse AP into that side of that ship there. New Orleans, I've never actually seen the Citadel map, but I think the Citadel's like in the back third of the ship, roughly. I always find I hit those Citadels better if you hit them in the rear, so you can, if anyone knows for sure where it is, let me know in the comments, because I would be interested to confirm my suspicions here. Here we're flipping the guns around, and I'm just trying to see, is this a Leander going to poke through or not? He's kind of starting and stopping. And the New Mexico briefly was sitting there, and now he's kind of pushing forward. So this is a situation where if you pick wrong and you go around trying to chase these guys, you can remove yourself out of the game for 2, 3, 4 minutes. So I don't like to get into those situations, but if they're going to just sit back there, you kind of have to push into them. Leander finally comes around, though. He takes a vicious shot from whoever, but we're able to pop him there, and once again, no problem, hit those Citadels. This is not a ship that's going to get a lot of overpens on cruisers flashing broadside. So one of those ships that if you're in a cruiser, you just got to really respect it. I mean, my advice as a cruiser would never be flash your broadside, really, unless you're in like a Laga or a Emily or something like that, where they're designed to get overpens. But you're going to get punished extra hard. Here we aim up. We're shooting under that turret, just seeing if you can hit a turret Citadel. Don't land it, but again, we get enough damage on him to finish him off and put him at the bottom of the sea here. So that puts us at 4 kills. I mean, that was we basically cleaned out that side. Not a huge damage exchange. Good support from the team. This team's been playing pretty well. We secured all the objectives early on, and their enemy team did, which, the strategy that's my pet peeve, where they just sit way behind the objectives the entire time. You got to capture the objectives. You're going to lose a lot of games by not capturing the objectives. Doesn't mean kill yourself trying to get on them, but that needs to be your goal. Sitting in the back, watching the enemy team capture all 3 of them, you're almost always going to lose that game, barring Herculean efforts from 1, 2, probably 3 players on your team. But digging yourself out of holes like that, not advisable. So at this point, I'm not sure. if we can do anything else at this point. All they have to do is sink. Well, I don't know if they sink one ship, if it would be over or not. But their score, they're nearing the mercy rule. So I don't. Initially, I was thinking maybe we could, not push that aggressively. But due to the small size of the map and the speed of this battleship, really no problem getting over here. Trying to decide where to go. The big island in the direct center of the map, kind of that south edge of that circle. That's the question. Which do you go on the right-hand side or the left? They're kind of going into A from east to west, and then they're going to, if they're played correctly, try and capture B. So they're going to be coming towards the left of that big island. So I do decide to go left there. We're going to flip the guns over, lock them. If you don't know how to use your gun lock, and I get asked every single day, go to your controller presets, option 3, and then learn to use this. There's no excuse not to use gun lock. I know there's great players that don't use it, but if you watch my videos for 5 minutes, you'll see I use it constantly. The ability to get your guns in position, pre-positioned into firing, the direction that you want to be able to fire off of, and be able to look around. So I mean, I can go on for 10 minutes about how great it is. Anyway, we got the guns in position. We're heading in the direction to cut these guys off. First up, Leander, he's coming in. This is what we were talking about earlier. Diagonal shots. If you want to know how to shoot these things, number one, you got to... I'm not going to get too deep into it. If you draw a straight line from where the nose is, where they're going, like draw a straight line through the front to the back of that ship mentally, that's basically where you'd want to aim. How far forward, how far back. You can look at my aiming videos. I can go into how to break that down a little bit more, and I'm going to go into now. But they're shots that you need to actually know how to hit them, and then you need to apply them in practice. And they're still very hard. I mean, shooting ships broadside, extremely preferable. Shooting ships diagonally, you can definitely get better at it over time, as the Leander finds out there when we get the Kraken. But much, much harder. And the difficulty goes up when they're moving away. Moving in, the shells get there quicker, so he has less time to dodge, so on and so forth. There's just a multitude of reasons why it's easier to hit them when they're moving in towards you. But, that's just an illustration of what we were talking about earlier. Anyway, let's see. We got one more ship here. I think someone else blasts him before we're able to. This one we actually have a shot at. Nelson, he's angled, but we try and shoot up and hit him in the superstructure. I think I shot just behind him, so I don't know if that would hit anyways, but we didn't get the 6th kill on that one. That's going to do it for that one, though, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.